Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastava and with me is Renuka RS, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Singapore and India reach agreement on resumption of passenger flights from 29th of this month. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says India is keen to continue working closely with Bangladesh to help and support each other's defence and security concerns. In Afghanistan, women have been banned from appearing in television dramas under new rules imposed by Taliban government. India's President Ramnath Kovind confers gallantry awards on armed forces personnel in Rashtrapati Bhavan. 5th East Asia Summit EAS Conference on Maritime Security Cooperation will be held in Kolkata on 23rd and 24th November. All India Radio and Doordarshan will multiple awards at ABU UNESCO Peace Media Awards 2021 held in Malaysia. And in tennis, Germany's Alexander Zverev clinches his second ATP Finals title, beating Daniil Medvedev of Russia in Turin, Italy. As India created history by administering over 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers, and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact National Helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Singapore and India have reached an agreement on resumption of scheduled commercial passenger flights between the two countries. Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore, CAAS, said that Singapore's vaccinated travel lane VTL with India will start on the 29th of November with 6 designated flights daily from Chennai, Delhi and Mumbai. Applications for vaccinated travel passes VTP for short-term visitors and long-term pass holders from India started from Monday. Airlines can also operate on non-VTL flights between India and Singapore, although passengers on non-VTL flights will be subject to the prevailing public health requirements, CAAS said. Austria went into nationwide lockdown from Monday morning, the first European Union country to take such stringent measures as coronavirus cases surge. Restaurants and most shops are closed and larger events have been cancelled. The measures are expected to last for a maximum of 20 days but will be re-evaluated after 10 days. As COVID-19 cases surge across the continent, other European countries are also tightening restrictions.
Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison has said Australia will allow foreign visa holders to enter the country and restart international travel from December to support its economy. Australia shut its international border in May 2020 and allowed only restricted numbers of citizen and permanent residents to enter in a bid to curtail the spread of COVID-19. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has said that India is keen to continue working closely with Bangladesh, helping and supporting each other's defence and security concerns. Mr. Singh today visited the Bangladesh High Commission in New Delhi on the occasion of Armed Forces Day of Bangladesh, which is celebrated on 21st of November every year. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Singh said India is deeply sensitive to the security and development concerns of its neighbours and hopes for reciprocal level of sensitivity on the part of neighbours towards the concern of India. He said it is critical for the Indian armed forces to remain engaged with each other for mutually capability enhancement, to respond to contingencies and to realise the shared goals of providing security and prosperity to the people. India's President Ramnath Kovind on Monday conferred gallantry awards and distinguished service decorations upon armed forces personnel for displaying indomitable courage and extreme devotion to duty at the defence investiture ceremony held in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Sapar Prakash Jadhav from Crop Corps of Engineers has been accorded the second highest Peacetime Gallantry Award, Kirti Chakra, posthumously for neutralizing terrorists in an operation in Jammu and Kashmir. His wife and mother received the award from the President. Major Vibhuti Shankar Dhondiyal was accorded the Shaurya Chakra posthumously for his role in an operation where 5 terrorists were eliminated and 200 kilogram explosive material was recovered. His wife, Lieutenant Nitika Kaul, and mother Saroj Dhondiyal received the award. Naib Subedar Somber was accorded Shaurya Chakra posthumously for killing an A++ category terrorist during an operation in Jammu and Kashmir. His wife and mother received the award. Group Captain Abhinandan Vardhaman, who shot down a Pakistani F-16 fighter aircraft, aerial combat, was honored with Veer Chakra.
विंग कमांडर वर्तमान अभिनंदन ने अपनी व्यक्तिगत सुरक्षा की परवाह न करते हुए अपने कर्तव्य के प्रति असाधारण समर्पण तथा शत्रु के सामने अदम्य साहस और शौर्य का प्रदर्शन किया। ग्रुप कैप्टन वर्तमान अभिनंदन।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, Minister of State for Defence Ajay Bhatt were present on the occasion, along with other dignitaries.
In today's Hotspots section, we bring you a special program on the valor of Indian Armed Forces in the Bangladesh Liberation War.
Employing nearly 3 million people and generating a trade surplus of about $13 billion, the Indian pharma industry has been a key driver of our economic growth. Since 2014, the Indian healthcare sector has attracted over $12 billion in foreign direct investment. Inaugurating the first Global Innovation Summit of the pharmaceutical sector, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, high quality and quantity at affordable prices has generated immense interest in the Indian pharma sector around the world. So when we talk of ensuring availability and accessibility of basic medicines, life-saving drugs and medical equipment to the common man at affordable prices, what is the role of NPPA in achieving this goal?
National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, in brief NPPA, was formed in 1997 with the objective of monitoring the availability of drugs, identifying shortages, to take remedial steps, to implement and enforce the provisions of drug price control orders, which basically keep a watch and control the prices of the drugs, and also fixes the prices of drugs in case of certain category of drugs. And also related issues like collecting market data, analyzing the production, studying the market, and also advising the Department of Pharmaceuticals on the issues relating to prices and changes and revisions in drug policy. So with these objectives, the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority was established in 1997, and we are now maintain a close watch on the drug prices. We fix the prices of drugs in case of scheduled drugs, a category within the drugs, and for our purpose, drugs include the medical devices also. So we also keep a watch on prices of medical devices.
What is the broad principle followed by NPPA towards price regulation? How are the drugs or the equipment, as you said, how are they chosen? What formula or rationale is followed while determining the appropriate prices to be fixed by NPPA?
Basically, the whole category of drugs, which for our purposes includes medical devices also, because all medical devices are now categorized as drugs for the purpose of price fixation. So the process starts like this, that Ministry of Health, there is a committee which draws up the list, what is called National List of Essential Medicines, NLEM. Based on detailed surveillance data on all diseases, the drugs used in treating them, etc., etc., a national list of essential medicines is drawn up. Then this list is passed on to the Department of Pharmaceuticals by Department of Health. And in case of this list, which we call scheduled drugs, all the medicines or drugs or medical devices in the national list of essential medicines comprise scheduled drugs for our purposes for price fixation. And subsequently, we provide ceiling prices in case of scheduled drugs. Ceiling prices means that no manufacturer of drugs can price these drugs above the ceiling prices. They are free to price them below the ceiling price as per their cost and market-based principles, but they cannot price it above the ceiling prices. And if we observe any violation of ceiling prices, then we take action, and that action includes recoveries from the manufacturers or the violators of the amount overcharged. Similarly, the other broad category of drugs is called non-scheduled drugs, which are not in the national list of essential medicines. In case of non-scheduled drugs, we maintain a watch on their prices. There is a provision that we don't permit them to increase prices in a financial year, roughly spoken, by more than 10%. So any non-scheduled medicine, the price cannot be increased by more than 10% in 12 months. If there are violations, again we take action and including the recovery of the overcharged amounts. Then we have certain other general powers in drug price control order, which are kind of exceptional powers. And in case of exceptional situations, we also use those powers to correct distortion in the market and overcharging if there are any. So this is the broad scheme of the work of National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority.
Branded medicines, especially those used to treat life-threatening diseases, are often very expensive. What is the current situation towards promoting generic medicines at reasonable rates to benefit the common man, especially the economically weaker sections of our society? If you could tell us more about this genre of generic medicines, which is being talked about a lot.
India is a leader as far as production of generic medicines of good quality and affordable prices is concerned. There is often a lack of awareness among consumers that there are, in addition to branded medicines, good quality generic medicines at relatively quite affordable prices are also available in the shops. But the lack of awareness, people often go for higher priced and medicines of the same quality. They don't give any benefit in terms of pharmacological benefits or any other benefits, but they are just higher priced. So NPPA, although is not directly involved in promoting generic medicines as such, because our primary role is pricing, but under Department of Pharmaceuticals, there are various agencies, including the Jan Aushadhi Yojana, where, as far as I am aware, almost all district headquarters now have the Jan Aushadhi Kendras, where affordable and good quality generic medicines are available. And people can go to these shops and purchase affordable medicines of good quality at very, very reasonable prices. Apart from that, various state governments also sometimes take steps to promote generic medicines. That is in addition to this.
What all medical equipment, for example, the often used ones like stents or prosthetics or pacemakers, are these included in the price control list? Because as we all know, disease knocks at all doors, whether it is a rich person or the very poor person. So in that context, are these medical devices covered in the price control?
Yes, in fact, in 2020, all medical devices have been categorized as drugs for the purposes of price fixation, meaning thereby that the mandate or the provisions of drug price control order also applicable to medical devices. As I had mentioned, there are broadly two kinds of drugs, and since medical devices are also drugs, so there are very broadly speaking two kinds of medical devices in that sense. One is that scheduled ones and the non-scheduled ones. Same principle applies. Scheduled medical devices which are in the NLEM, which are in the schedule, we give ceiling prices for them, and non-scheduled medical devices, we monitor their prices and we don't allow more than 10% price increase in a period of 12 months. Apart from that, as I said, if you recall, during the COVID period, there were huge issues regarding availability of oxygen concentrators, pulse oximeters, and similarly some COVID-related equipment, including oxygen. NPPA, exercising its extraordinary powers given under DPCO, has taken steps to control the prices and margins in case of these devices also. So in that sense, medical devices are also under price control and are treated in a similar manner as drugs as far as price control is concerned.
Highlighting the role of Indian pharma sector during the COVID-19 pandemic, you just mentioned the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Modi said by exporting life-saving medicines and medical equipment to over 150 countries during the initial phase of the pandemic and exporting more than 65 million doses of COVID vaccines to nearly 100 countries this year, the Indian healthcare sector has earned a global trust and is called pharmacy of the world. Do you feel the Indian pharma industry has immense potential both within the country and on a global level?
Of course, Indian pharma is a huge success story as far as India is concerned. We are among the most reliable and quality producers of medicines at the very reasonable prices, and the whole world looks up to India when they look for quality and affordable medicines. Already it is one of the highest foreign exchange earners for the country also. Trade surpluses among the first 2-3 categories as far as pharma industry is concerned. And also the kind of medicines at the reasonable quality medicines that are available in India at a very, very reasonable and affordable prices. That is all because of the excellent work work done in the Indian pharma industry. I mean, you can imagine Serum Institute had not been there in India, then what kind of vaccinability would have been there. Similarly, even during peaks of COVID, all life-saving medicines, except for a very, very short period, there were issues. But otherwise, all life-saving medicines, there was no shortage, no critical issues regarding medicines. So in that sense, Indian pharma has hugely served the nation and has huge potential going ahead also. And the theme of this IPA Summit on Innovation is that now Indian pharma has to upscale itself, go to a higher value creation regime where they should focus on innovations and cutting edge kind of medicines. Since generic medicines, they are already doing very well in case of generic medicines. So with innovation and new medicines and new molecules, categories called like biosimilars, etc., where there is huge scope. So Indian pharma now has to go up the value chain to realize its potential. There is a target. I mean, the current size of industry is around $40 to $45 billion. Now there is effort of the Department of Pharmaceuticals and government is to take the Indian pharmaceutical industry to the level of $120 to $130 billion by year 2030 from around $40 to $45 billion. That is the scale of Indian pharma industry right now. In short, there is a huge potential for Indian pharma industry to upscale, go into higher value chains and produce higher level medicines. And if that is done, the innovation is realized. If that is realized, Indian pharma has tremendous potential. I mean, from pharmacy of the world, we can also become the innovation hub of the world as far as pharma is concerned.
Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful and comprehensive discussion.
Thank you.
In Afghanistan, women have been banned from appearing in television dramas under new rules imposed by the Taliban government. Female journalists and presenters have also been ordered to wear headscarves on screen, although the guidelines do not say which type of covering to be used. The Taliban seized power in Afghanistan in mid-August, and they are gradually imposing harsh restrictions. The militant group, which took control following the departure of US and allied forces, almost immediately instructed girls and young women to stay home from school. During their previous rule in the 1990s, women were barred from education and the workplace. The latest set of Taliban guidelines, which have been issued to Afghan television channels, features 8 new rules. They include the banning of films considered against the principles of Sharia, the Islamic law and Afghan values, while footage of men exposing intimate parts of the body is prohibited.
The 5th East Asia Summit EAS Conference on Maritime Security Cooperation will be held in Kolkata on 23rd and 24th of November. The event is being organized by India in partnership with Australia. Apart from the two governments, organizers include the ASEAN-India Centre at Research and Information System for Developing Countries in collaboration with National Maritime Foundation of Australia and the Research Centre for East and North East Regional Studies, Kolkata. The Union Government will be represented by Riva Ganguly Das, Secretary East in the Ministry of External Affairs. During the conference, experts from both the government and academia from the participating countries will deliberate upon various aspects of maritime security cooperation under 4 thematic sessions. These are maritime security, resource and information sharing, science and technology cooperation, and pandemic and disaster risk reduction and management. The event will conclude with a panel discussion on the way forward. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
And now news from the 52nd edition of the International Film Festival of India, IFFI, that is underway in Goa. Veteran Indian actor and National Award winner Manoj Bajpayee held an in-conversation session today along the sidelines of the 52nd IFFI. Earlier in the day, Marathi film Godavari along with the Bengali movie Nitantoi Sehaj Saral by Satyabit Paul was showcased today in the Indian Panorama feature section. We have more from our correspondent.
The film Godavari tells the story of a family living on the banks of the river Godavari in Nashik. Godavari is also in contention for the Golden Peacock in the International Film Competition of IFFI this year.
आपली नदी गोदावरी बघ ना नुसती वर्षानुवर्ष वाहतेच आहे तशी परंपराही वाहते ना.
ही काय नदी आहे? गाळ आहे नुसता गाळ. आयुष्य ऋतून गेलंय माझं याच्यात आणि तुमचं सुद्धा. एक पाय निघाला की दुसरा अडकतो.
पिता पुत्राच्या यशस्वी नात्याचं गमक त्या नावाचं पुस्तक सापडतं का वाहतूकच्या लायब्ररीत.
In the non-feature section of the Indian Panorama, 2 Hindi movies were showcased, namely Ablo Babylon Se and Gangaputra. Assamese documentary Virangana was also screened at the 52nd IFFI today. Virangana has been selected for the Indian Panorama section in the non-feature film category. It deals with the Assam Police's first female commando force, Virangana, which was launched in the year 2012. Lifetime Achievement awardee Martin Scorsese's English movie Goodfellas was screened here in Panji this afternoon. Celebrated Israeli writer-director Nadav Lapid's Ahed's Knee is his 4th feature and co-winner of the jury prize at Cannes, and it was shown today. IFFI is also paying homage to Kannada superstar Puneet Rajkumar today by screening his movie Rajakumara, directed by Santosh Anandram. Pawan, IFFI Desk, Goa.
TV shows produced by Doordarshan and radio shows produced by All India Radio received multiple awards at the recently held ABU UNESCO Peace Media Awards 2021 at Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. All India Radio's program Living on the Edge, The Coastal Lives won an award in the category of Ethical and Sustainable Relationship with Nature, while Doordarshan's program Definitely Leading the Way won an award under Living Well with Super Diversity category. The award presentation ceremony was held at Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia on the 17th of November. The awards were given by UNESCO in collaboration with Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union under Together for Peace initiative. All India Radio's series Living on the Edge, The Coastal Lives explores life of fishing communities living on the edge in Visakhapatnam. This program was devised and produced by Monica Gulati, Program Executive of All India Radio in Delhi. Definitely Leading the Way talks about the inspiring journey of a specially abled child.
Bangladesh signed an exchange of note and loan agreement with Japan worth $2.66 billion for 2 development projects in the country today. The agreement was signed in Dhaka by the Ambassador of Japan in Bangladesh, Ito Naki, and Secretary of Economic Relations Division of Bangladesh, Fatima Yassin. The Sensex and the Nifty today plunged around 2%. Both stocks declined amid mixed global equity indices. The Sensex closed below the 58,500 mark, while the Nifty ended below 17,500 level. A report from the Business World.
BSE Sensex tumbled 1,170 points, 1.96% to trade at 58,466. The NSE Nifty also fell by 348 points, 1.96% to trade at 17,417. Amongst global stock markets, most of the Asia-Pacific equity indices gained, but in a narrow range. However, South Korea's Kospi logged robust gains of 1.4%. China Shanghai Composite Index climbed 0.6%, while Japan's Nikkei 225 and Singapore Straits Times both added marginally, up 2.2%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng fell 0.4%. European shares were also added marginally in intraday trade. Oil prices rose marginally but remain under pressure from rising COVID-19 cases in Europe and a potential release of Japanese oil reserves in intraday trade. Brent crude was trading around $79 per barrel. Back home, gold prices fell 100 rupees at the multi-commodity exchange for December contracts in sync with losses in the global markets. The precious metal was trading at 48,725 rupees per 10 grams in intraday trade. On the other hand, silver gained 70 rupees to 65,630 rupees per kilogram for December contracts when reports last came in. And in the foreign exchange market, the rupee weakened by 17 paise to close at 74 rupees and 40 paise against the US dollar. Arjun Chaudhary for World News, All India Radio.
Exit polls in Bulgaria suggest that the incumbent Rumen Radev has won the country's presidential runoff. Partial official results showed he had won 66.7% of the second round vote over the conservative candidate Anastas Gerdizkhov. The 58-year-old now seems set for a second 5-year term in the largely ceremonial post and will be formally reappointed in January. In Chile, the election for a new president will go into a second round on the 19th of December after none of the 7 candidates managed to secure the necessary 50% needed to win outrightly. Far-right candidate Jose Antonio Cast will face left-wing former student leader Gabriel Boric in the runoff. The election is one of the most polarized in recent decades and comes after mass anti-government protests. Mr. Cast described it as a choice between liberty and communism. Mr. Boric, meanwhile, said he was fighting for democracy, for inclusion and for justice.
In tennis, Alexander Zverev captured his second NATO ATP final Sunday night, overcoming world number 2 Daniil Medvedev 6-4, 6-4 to end his standout 2021 season in style at Turin in Italy. The German defeated world number 1 Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals and backed that up against Medvedev in an impressive performance. Hockey Men's Junior World Cup 2021 is being hosted by Odisha. The tournament will be held from 24th of November to 5th of December. 16 teams will feature in the tournament. Odisha had successfully hosted the 2018 Men's Hockey World Cup. 16 teams, namely India, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, South Africa, Egypt, Belgium, England, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, USA, Canada, Chile and Argentina will feature in the tournament. Odisha is also gearing up to host the 2023 FIH International Hockey Federation Men's Hockey World Cup in Bhubaneswar and Rourkela. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Wall Street Journal writes China is expanding its effort to launch weapons from hypersonic missiles. The Globe and Mail says 5 dead, more than 40 injured after vehicle ploughed through parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin. The Guardian reports COVID live. German minister says people will be vaccinated, recovered or dead by spring. UK PM says no evidence restrictions are needed. Sputnik News writes Europe spirals into mayhem amid protests over tightened COVID-19 restrictions. Videos. South China Morning Post reports Taiwanese giant slapped with fines over mainland regulatory violations, Xinjiang says. Khalid Time reports Saudi Arabia girls dream big with launch of first football league. Ceylon Today writes Australia to ease border ban on some foreign citizens. Tashkent Time says Uzbekistan's permanent representative to UN appointed as deputy chairperson of United Nations Human Rights Council.
And now the headlines once again. Singapore and India reach agreement on resumption of passenger flights from the 29th of this month. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says India is keen to continue working closely with Bangladesh, helping and supporting each other's defence and security concerns. In Afghanistan, women have been banned from appearing in television dramas under new rules imposed by the Taliban government. India's President Ramnath Kovind confers gallantry awards on armed forces personnel in Rashtrapati Bhavan. 5th East Asia Summit EAS Conference on Maritime Security Cooperation will be held in Kolkata on 23rd and 24th November. All India Radio and Doordarshan win multiple awards at ABU UNESCO Peace Media Awards 2021 held in Malaysia. And in tennis, Germany's Alexander Zverev clinches his second ATP finals title, beating Daniil Medvedev of Russia in Turin, Italy. India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Azerbaijan.
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहीं के पीर पराई जाने रे पर तू के उपकार करे तो ये मनि अभिमान आने रे सकल लोक मान सहुने वंदे निंदा ना करे के नीरे सकल लोक मां सहुने वंदे.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.